Hi everyone, I know my channel is focused on mostly framework tutorials lately, but I wanted to mix some design reviews also, since it can be another beneficial content type also for designers, in addition to being some nice content for the channel. Actually, design reviews were the reason I created this channel in the beginning. Later, I also wanted to add design and prototyping tutorials, now the main type of content on my channel, especially framework ones. So let's get into the review. This design by a talented designer, framer expert and partner Hamza Harun certainly has a great potential and a good start, but it also needs to be improved, especially in terms of sizing and spacing, considering luxury themed designs need to have a lot of spacing. So the overall look can be improved very much by using more space and with smaller text. I also think typography can be improved by using maybe some more luxurious or premium looking serif font for the headlines, also for the logotype. For the layout, grayscale or black and white color usage is the right decision, since for a premium theme you wouldn't want to use very much of color. I liked hero section covering the whole viewport, but again, more space between the headline and the text below could work much better here, especially with a serif font for the headline, as I suggested before. Since I'm gonna focus on the aspects can be improved, I will also say the CTA Discover Now could be standing out more, again with more vertical spacing, since it looks like it gets blended into background with just a transparent black background. This can be the right decision in such a theme on the light background, but not on a dark one. Maybe a white stroke would fix that issue here. Lastly, since we see the menu here first, I'd like to say that I'd make the menu smaller a little, and using a less fancy animation for the menu icon here would be better for a premium, luxurious looking feel, turning the menu icon into an X button instead of an asterisk as it is right now, and not making it spin on hover. Also, in the open state of the menu, I don't want to repeat myself, but I also feel like I need to mention to make the review a complete one. I'd make the links for the pages smaller also. Other than that, menu works great in my opinion. The second link in the menu to see properties section. We're gonna get into the order of the sections later. It's nice to see large images of luxurious properties here, but again, in premium designs, we usually expect more white space between the elements. So I'd use more space between the property cards here, making them smaller a little. I understand that you're aiming to create an elegant look by not using bold font weight for the titles here, but you could resolve it by using a different font for the headlines and the titles at this level, while keeping the premium look and feel and creating a distinction between the titles, headlines and the regular text. I like the idea of using a short description for each property here. Hover effect of the cards also look great. Let's check the property detail page. In this page, I like the title and the short description being in the center, but again, increasing the vertical space between the title and the text would work much better here. Maybe stats and info could be placed above the fold here for user to easily see them without needing to scroll down. Placed right under the title and description here, centered on a transparent background, maybe moving the title and description up a little. That would be a much more efficient use of valuable space, right? I liked two-column structure of the cards for the info below, like property overview, but again, making the text smaller with more line height and top spacing would be much better. One thing confused me here is having a sticky positioning for the text of the first card, property overview, but not for the other ones. In terms of consistency, I would either use it in all cards or not use it at all. I guess for a premium theme, it doesn't look very necessary to use a sticky positioning for these cards. I like the interchanging positioning of the text and image pairs, but of course, cards should have more vertical space between each other. Even though I like the idea of having more images underneath those cards, I can't be sure about using them in full size. We don't want to load the whole data before user demands it, and using an image gallery with just clickable thumbnails would tidy up the layout, right? I'm sure it is possible to find a nice carousel and or a thumbnail gallery in the Framer community resources, so I would turn that into an element like that. I also like the Discover More section at the bottom. Let's check the gallery page. Again, also in this gallery, I would use a thumbnail gallery that opens the full-size image in a pop-up, etc. Or would use some carousel galleries for different categories. That way, we would be able to create a more spacious and tidy looking layout that wouldn't need to transfer this much of data right away. Other than that, it certainly serves the purpose. In gallery, I also like the scroll effect that makes the images fade in as you scroll. When we go to the About section, we see this section is placed right below the hero, but placed as fourth link in the menu. This can be a little confusing, and also if we don't think this section should be placed next to the first one in the menu, we also shouldn't place it as second one in the page structure, right? Other than that, this section is very well laid out. Again, the problem it has can be resolved by just sizing and spacing adjustments, since the text columns on the left looks too wide to me. I would improve this section by just not using the whole width and narrowing down the content and centering it on the page by keeping the left column wider but not this wide, making all text smaller and using more line spacing for the body text, and maybe using some minimal icons for the stats at the right column to add some visual elements to the section. Let's go to the contact page. I understand that you're aiming consistency in all pages by using the whole viewport height for the page titles and the short description underneath on an image background, but especially in the contact page, the form and info should be visible right away, since the main purpose here is just contacting using either info or the form, right? So I would use the headline and the text just above the info and form, making them smaller and center aligning them on the image background, keeping it shorter, not covering the whole viewport. Contact Us card looks too big to me. I would make both the headline Contact Us and the text following it smaller. That way you would be able to make both info and contact forms smaller and narrower, and you would center them for a better look. Also, the form inputs and the submit button looks too wide and big. I would make them smaller and narrower, increasing the vertical space between the inputs. I like the clean look here. Other than that, time to check the footer section. Footer could take less space also. I understand that the aim here is again a luxurious, elegant look, but I'd keep the headline making it smaller and would place the links horizontally stacked on the left. I'd take social media links to the right, again making them smaller, and not using solid icons like this for consistency and the more minimal look that this layout requires. Lastly, I would make either the footers or menu's background in a slightly different shade of gray to keep the menu bar visible when user scrolls to the footer. Overall, as I mentioned before, most of the problems can be resolved by just resizing and spacing. I see the aim of creating a minimal and elegant looking UI here, which is achieved at some level. And it's certainly a good start, but could be much better considering the tips I shared. So I would say it has some work to do and definitely has a great potential. So keep up the good work. Hope you liked the review. Be sure to subscribe, turn the notifications on, and check my other videos. See you in the next one.